the Legal Corner podcast series. Welcome to today's episode of The Legal Corner, a podcast which covers a variety of legal issues to keep you informed. Hosted by attorney at law Colin Dinoon and communications specialist Leonardo Torres.
Welcome back to the Legal Corner podcast series, everybody. I know it's been a while since we have connected and we have dropped an episode for you, so I'm so happy to be here with you. If you're joining us for the first time, I am Colin Dinoon, the host of the Legal Corner podcast series. Leonardo is on the road, so he will be joining us when he's able to do so in a subsequent episode. Now, this will be our final season in our series. There have been some changes taking place in both of our lives, and we have decided that this is going to be our farewell season. So, we say thank you for your support thus far, and we know that you are going to continue to accompany us for this fourth and final season. In our episode today, we are going to be looking at Island Legal Wills, and our distinguished guest is Mr. Kemar Lawrence. Just to tell you a bit about him, he's a creative and tenacious product specialist, offering 16 plus years success transforming insights into ideas and ideas into products across the financial and creative services industry. He combines experiences in advertising, UI UX design, product strategy, and business development to bring multiple perspectives that challenge the status quo and set new standards. He has his UX certification with Nielsen Norman Group, the leader in the user experience field. He runs Island Legal Wills, a service for Caribbean people to create their legally valid will online. And he owns Casa Bloom, a boutique hotel. He spends his time as a venture coach in Conestoga College. So we are on the road and we are in Canada today. Good day to you, Kemar, and welcome to the Legal Corner podcast series.
Thank you, Colin. Thanks for having me. Thanks for reaching out.
Sure. Always good to connect with you, Kemar. Let's get right into it. Tell us, what is Island Legal Wills?
Sure. From a high level, Island Legal Wills is a platform service, an online platform service that helps to take the pain out of creating wills online for the people in the Caribbean. So you can hop online and within 5 to 15 minutes create a really simple will to a comprehensive will online.
How long has your company been in existence?
Island Legal Wills has been around for roughly over 3 years and exploring. It started out from an idea that was quite random. So essentially, I was living in Australia at the time. I was working for a large corporation. I was doing a lot of things in the digital and financial industries, and I was about to have a baby. And then what happened just before we had a baby, my grandparents passed away. And with my grandparents passing away, I was at the same time looking to invest into the Caribbean, and I was speaking with an attorney. And with that, I was asking my parents, where's my grandparents' will? So that way I know an attorney that's digitally savvy, and they could communicate to me that, and help with the entire estate. And it turns out that there was no will. And so I was like, okay, well, if there's no will, let me go online and get my parents a will. And so there's services that exist within the United States and Canada, Australia. And when I was doing the discovery and looking and searching, there was nothing that existed at the time. And so I created Island Legal Wills with the help of attorneys that we hired. And so it's been 3 years running now.
Congratulations. Who is your target market?
Yeah, great question. So we aim to take the ease for people who are domiciled within the 16 Caribbean nations. So think of Trinidad and Tobago, think of Jamaica, think of Barbados, Barbuda, Antigua, Guyana. So any of the 50 nations that that exists from a Commonwealth law structure. And anyone that, the Caribbean has become such a transient, let's say, area where you have lots of people that are, leaving the country, but yet they have some type of asset because they've been there for so long. So whether it's a bank account, whether it's some type of financial instrument or property, whatever, it allows them to easily go online and create a custom will for that jurisdiction within the 5 to 15 minutes.
Kemar, why do you believe Caribbean people are hesitant to make a will? Because I know you mentioned in your grandparents' case there was no will.
When we first started off on this journey, we were aiming just to do Jamaica wills, and part of what the process was to get a lot of feedback. How do we make this thing really simple, really easy? And we conducted a lot of research. Predominantly people who are tech savvy. People who are online, people who are interacting with internet, because that's our main target. And so some of the feedback that I heard asking the key question from surveys, having interviews such as this, was it kind of all ladders up to judgment. And so people within the Caribbean are reluctant to want to go to someone, sit down with them, and retail all the information that they have. They're going to feel judged if they don't have a certain things. And so that judgment, in my mind, and from the research, is people don't want to be judged. When you have someone in front of them, someone that is, probably a lot more educated than them, if it is an attorney, so they may feel uncomfortable. So this is one of the main barriers, realistically. It's the same way when it comes to financial advisors, right? So when a financial advisor is going to speak with you at a bank or a financial institution, and it's like, okay, what do you have? How much money do you have? You try to understand your financial situation. That same person is reluctant to give information because they don't want to be judged or perceived a certain way or allude to anything. And it's the judgment of that. I think that's shifting, though, with more financial literacy happening. There's lots of fantastic people that's from the Caribbean. Like, I was born in Jamaica, raised in Canada, that are going back into the Caribbean and trying to contribute in a positive way. And that's sharing their knowledge of the benefits of being digitally savvy, one, and also being financially illiterate, and showcasing that, these things are quite important. Globalization is now, it's happening. It's going to be even more prevalent, day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, and so there's that. I think we as a Caribbean culture need to get over the judgment and do the thing that is important for your family well-being.
What role would you say fear has to play in the hesitancy to make a will?
What would I think the fear? So part of the research that we did was there's 3 main things that kind of stop people in the path on creating a will. One, there's old superstition, right? And there's old superstition. There is lack of funds, right? And lack of funds kind of attributes to, potentially high legal fees in that sense. So when we were doing the research and then asking certain lawyers and attorneys and historians and all that stuff, and we could go online and look in this, but it stems from back in the day from a slavery mindset, the superstition. So imagine generations of family that would own a bunch of slaves, unfortunately. They would have families living on that plantation, and let's say that older slave master would be dying off, and someone from that ground said, hey, go and fetch, the town scribe or the town person or whatever. And that person, there's only a few of them. So that person would show up through generations, So that scribe has been around through maybe 2 or 3 generations. They may be an attorney or lawyer, whatever it may be. And they would be showing up to this plantation, and this generations of slaves would see this. And they were like, every time this person comes in to write in a will or to do some kind of documentation, it's a premonition or an omen of death, because usually the person that's asking for that scribe is, they didn't realize that, they were being added into their wills as property. Right?
That's interesting, Kemar. First time I've heard that story or that anecdote, really, as a reason why persons don't go to get a will done.
And it's just one of those things that carries the nation. It's like every time you mention a will or whatever, someone's going to die. And potentially, right? But they didn't realize that that person was adding those assets, which is slaves, to be a part of their assets, to be going to the next of kin. I think as Dateline or CBC did a television broadcast of it. I could share with you, but it basically shows like there's a huge room of all these past slave owners, and you could see all the wills, and you could see what they said in the will. It's quite fascinating. And unfortunately, because of the Caribbean being kind of cut off from, I would say, more dynamic nature of growth back in the day, we haven't seen that shift. And even when I do speak to people in the United States as well, still Black people are generally further behind, like and cracking the law. They know they need it, but maybe because some type of cultural hand-me-down from parents and lineage and the way they speak about it, an omen of death, it puts fear. For myself, I have a will. I have 2 wills. Wherever I own assets, I make sure I have a will that governs that jurisdiction, because if anything was to happen to me, I want to make sure that it's easy for my family. It's easy for my kids, not realizing that's the benefit of it.
Yeah, I see a will as an organized way of disposing of your assets. You can sit down rationally in your quiet time and decide who's going to get what and put it in a documentary form, rather than just hoping and wishing that, you're going to be alive to give who you want certain things, right? Because life is so unpredictable and we have no idea when the end is going to come. So the
absolutely
best we can do is just try to plan for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find that it's a symbol of respect. Just like when you're born, you get a birth certificate that says your name, says everything about you and your heritage. Why are we as a community reluctant to just be a little bit more organized, and so our platform makes it much more accessible, because we're just a document preparation company. We don't offer legal advice in any way, so you take your time. It's free to start. So you sign up, you answer a few questions, you get started. We're not asking for money upfront right away. Through our platform, we try to connect to digitally, adaptive attorneys, people who are comfortable with speaking, through a digital means. We just try to connect people. That's what we try to do through our platform, while giving you a tool to take action.
Kemar, tell us, what is the link between your platform and Caribbean estate lawyers?
Yeah, so the link that we've kind of put forth is we are document preparation. So essentially, we give you a platform to quickly go in, create a simple to a comprehensive will, without any legal advice. Through our platform, like mentioned, we have developed a Caribbean attorney network, which is basically a hub for you to find digitally savvy attorneys throughout the Caribbean. So you can connect with them, get legal questions and guidance. We don't do that on our end, but we want to work with the digitally savvy Caribbean attorneys, because we understand that it's just really tough trying to find an attorney in the Caribbean, just really tough. And I understand there's some like advertising laws and you're like, and all that, and you can't be better than another attorney, due to the canons and canons and all that.
Yeah, we have the code of ethics that says that we cannot advertise our services.
Correct. But this is a globalization world. And why we created the Caribbean Attorney Network as well was because we are an online platform, we're showing up when people are searching for wills, especially in the Caribbean. And so we're being found, and we had someone reach out from China saying that, hey, we have a lot of people who are very interested in investing, like well-off people from China interested in investing into the Caribbean. We want to invite your attorneys to come to this gala. And, that's what sparked the idea of like, oh, maybe we can put together a hub where it just showcases attorneys that are digitally savvy. Part of that platform, we don't market. It's based on what your expertise are, right? So in the sense of what do you focus on, you list on our site. It's a backlink to your business. We don't take a cut in any way. We're just more of a hub to be found. Yes, there's LinkedIn. The difference with LinkedIn like requires you to add that person and go through the steps, and the person has to approve you, when really someone can just send you an inquiry or call you directly, and that will help with lead generation, essentially. And so we're more of the tools, while we want to be the bridge to get you access to the legal advice that you need.
As we get ready to wrap up, tell us, how can persons get in contact with your company?
Yeah, so again, the company is islandlegalwills.com, so you can hop on there. We're on Instagram at islandlegalwills on Instagram, where we showcase information with regards to wills. We're on Medium, so we hire out attorneys to help us craft blog posts. Just send us a message from a contact through Island Legal Wills.
Kemar, this has been a great conversation. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you, Colin. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Legal Corner podcast series. For more information, please visit us at our Facebook or Instagram pages, or send your comments to thelegalcornerpodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.